What would you do if a harmless knock at the door turned into your worst nightmare? On Halloween night, the doorbell rings one last time, long after the trick-or-treaters are gone. A towering figure dressed as a clown stands on the doorstep, but something is terribly wrong. You shut the door thinking it's over, but the ringing doesn't stop. And when you see him at your window, the absolute horror begins. If you crave spine-chilling stories like this, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Ghostly Whispers, where fear finds you when you least expect it. It was Halloween night, and my parents had assigned me the task of handing out candy to the kids that evening. My mother had purchased far more candy bags than we would ever need. Our house was in a cul-de-sac on a dead end, so we rarely got trick-or-treaters, but those who did know they'd get a lot of candy from us. It was a Monday. Fortunately, I had Mondays off in college that semester. After going to the gym and finishing my homework, I was prepared to distribute candy. As the evening progressed, only about 10 to 15 children showed up. It was quieter than usual because it was Monday night. The doorbell rang again around 9:30 p.m., well past the trick-or-treating deadline. I was startled, but I moved to the door. Through the glass, I noticed a very tall man dressed as a clown and holding a brown sack. His mask was terrifying. I did not open the door and simply informed him through the glass that we had no more candy. I quickly closed and locked the door, instantly regretting having answered it. I stayed by the door and listened. Instead of leaving, the man pressed the doorbell again. My dog, Vado, started barking like crazy. I carried him upstairs, turned off the lights, and tried to make it appear that no one was home. Then I heard a loud snap. The storm door latch had broken. I was frozen with fear when I heard the door being tampered with. I ran upstairs and texted my family, but no one responded. The doorbell rang again, and I became terrified. I called my brother, but he dismissed it as a Halloween prank. I hoped he was correct, and eventually, the doorbell stopped ringing. I started to relax and fell asleep. But I hadn't slept long when Vado began growling softly. He was staring at the window. I listened closely and heard a faint thumping outside the window, as if something were brushing against it. My bedroom was on the second floor, and I didn't think anyone could be there. But when I opened the blinds, I was horrified to see the clown standing outside my window, staring at me with his grotesque mask. I screamed and dashed to my parents' room, locking the door and dialing 911. My entire body trembled as I spoke to the operator, pleading with them to send help right away. The police arrived in about 10 minutes and discovered the front door latch broken and my father's ladder propped against the side of the house near my window. That man had entered our storage shed, located the ladder, and climbed to my window. I'm still unsure if this was a sick prank or something much worse was about to happen. I spent the night at my friend Adam's house, but the memory of that clown remains with me. It was late October, a Saturday during Halloween weekend. Halloween was on a Tuesday that year, so the big party night occurred the Saturday before. My friends and I were still looking for last-minute plans because everything had sold out. Ideally, we hoped to find a house party. We all had some pretty funny costumes and wanted to use them well. My friend Kate decided to post on her Instagram and Snapchat stories about looking for parties tonight, which I would never have done. I'd find that shameless and embarrassing, but I was glad she was willing to do it. I was surprised when she texted in the group chat that someone had contacted her about a party shortly afterward. She shared a screenshot of the details in the group chat. It included an address, a start time, and a few ground rules, such as the party would be held indoors, without backyard access, and you could bring alcohol. It also stated, must bring at least one girl for every guy. The guy who sent the details to Kate was one of our friends around our age, and we both knew many of the same people. Apparently, several people we knew were attending this party. The house address was one town over, which was extremely close. So the four of us went to Shauna's house because she had an open crib. We pre-gamed for about an hour while everyone finished getting ready. We waited until our guy friends confirmed they were going before heading over. We called an Uber. We each had our drink, ranging from Four Locos to White Claws to vodka shooters. The Uber driver was probably worn out by the end of the ride. When we got to the house, there were a lot of cars everywhere. The house was quite large, with an expansive front yard. 4 girls were walking in, so whoever was throwing the party was bound to love us. Once we got closer to the door, we heard music, at which point we listened to the bass beat. I opened the door, and the first room we entered was a cross between the living room and the kitchen. The house was dimly lit, with only a few orange lights hanging up, creating a Halloween party atmosphere. The place was pretty crowded, but we didn't know anyone. Kate texted the guys we knew to see if they had arrived yet. In the meantime, an older man approached and greeted us. He asked us for our names and introduced himself as Luke's father, John. Apparently, Luke organized this party. I inquired about Luke's identity and educational institution. He said, "Oh, he's around here somewhere. You can ask him whenever you see him." He then asked if we wanted to store our drinks in the cooler. He led us into the kitchen where 3 large ice coolers were filled with drinks. So, we stored some of our cans in the coolers. John appeared to be in his 50s, which made sense if his son was throwing the party. But it seemed strange that he would be so welcoming and involved in such a large party in his own home. He went around talking to everyone, mostly the girls. He appeared to have been drinking as well. The 4 of us were playing beer pong at one of the tables when some guys approached us, and we began to play against them. Kate told me our guy friends were coming, which made me happy. John suddenly yelled my and Kate's names over by the kitchen counter. He yelled for shots. My other 2 friends, Shauna and Tracy, appeared slightly offended, so I asked, "Can we all have one?" He yelled, "Yeah, sure." So we all went to the kitchen counter beside him and took a shot of tequila. I gagged because there wasn't any lime. I was definitely getting drunk after this. It was strange how much the father of the house tried to hype this party up. He had an oddly welcoming yet unsettling presence. The unsettling part because he was much older than the typical college-aged crowd here, and he was pushing drinks on people. Then he asked what our poison was. I was going to say something when the girls shared their favorite drinks. John started making a lot of mixed drinks. Meanwhile, we returned to the beer pong table, where the guys we had been playing with were still waiting. I plugged my phone into an outlet because I was down to about 50% and then returned to the game. Midway through the game, John approached Kate and me with 2 drinks, then returned with 2 more for Shauna and Tracy. They all wore red Solo cups. He made me a vodka soda. When we were playing beer pong, I drank it whenever I could. I was already drunk, so I drank slowly. After we lost to the random guys, I went to get my phone, only to find that it had not charged at all. It was still at the same percentage. The outlet was not working. I didn't feel safe leaving my phone on other outlets, so I avoided further draining the battery. When our male friends arrived, things quickly became a blur, and I mean very swiftly. Like I was talking to our friend Jeff one second, and the next, I blacked out. The next thing I remember is my friends waking me in their car outside my house. I felt woozy. My vision was blurry. My head was spinning. We were in one of our male friends' cars. One of the guys walked me to my front door and helped me inside before they all left. I was alone, except for my parents, who were asleep in their room. I suspected I had consumed far too much alcohol, but I also had a woozy, strange feeling in my head that I had never experienced while drinking. I felt dizzy. I went directly to my room to sleep. I checked my phone and found some texts from an unsaved number. When I opened it, there were already a bunch of texts. I texted my name and they replied, "John, uh-oh." He then commented, "You look so cute." Based on when he sent this, it was still during the party. There was a 2-hour gap before he texted me again asking, "Where did my favorite girls go?" I was shocked at myself for giving that man my phone number. I must have been drunker than I realized. But regardless, I lowered my head onto the pillow and fell asleep immediately. The following day, I received some disturbing texts. I read these sickening texts while my head was spinning. After I fell asleep, I received texts from John asking, "Where are you?" "I'm coming to your house because you left something here," followed by, "I'm here, can you come to the door?" Followed by, "Hello, are you awake?" He also tried calling me thrice, all around 2 a.m. My friends reminded me of what happened after I sent the screenshot. John was all over me as I slowly turned into a zombie. My friends became concerned, so they pulled me away, and we left the party. Just as we left, 2 police cars appeared outside, presumably due to a noise complaint. As we left, everyone noticed no furniture in the house, just an ample space filled with people and beer pong tables. One of my male friends looked up the number and told me it was a voice-over IP number, which I didn't understand, so he simply said it was a fake phone number from which John texted me. He also stated that he could easily find my address with my phone number. I felt even sicker now. I asked if anyone had met his alleged son, and everyone said no. We were beginning to believe there was no son, and Shauna's suggestion that he might have roofied me made perfect sense. I had never felt this way before. We decided to report this to the police. We all went to the nearest police station to report everything, including the texts. The cop at the front desk inquired as to whether this was related to the house party held in the vacant house last night. We were initially perplexed when he said, "vacant house," until he explained that neighbors had called about a party in a home that had been vacant for some time. We all stared at each other, mouths gaping. We were all brought into an office to meet with a detective to get the whole story. He took the fake phone number and said they'd try to trace it back to someone once they had a warrant. We gave the cops everything we could and went on our way. I blocked the fake phone number. I honestly felt sick about it for a while. As the days passed and nothing happened, I was convinced it was over, but we never heard from the police. We never heard about any arrests or anything. To think that man went out of his way to advertise a house party in a vacant house to gain access to young women, roofied possibly other girls and me, and lied about having a son. All of this. This was clearly a hazardous man, and we have yet to be called in to identify anyone. Scares me to think he is still free. This was 1 month ago. I'll update you if anything changes, and I hope this man is apprehended soon.